ladies and gentlemen.
We'll take it from here, episode 10.
10, damn.
Got that number right?
Yeah, that's 10.
Okay.
You got it right. I was actually looking today, and I saw that we were on 8 or 9, excuse me. And I was like, damn, when did we do 8? And then I forgot 8 was last week. Yeah,
there's the milestone. 10.
Yeah, 10.
Double digits.
Double digits. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to We'll Take It From Here with Joe and Don, where we talk about absolutely anything and everything. We like to focus mostly on mindset, positivity, how to help from our experiences, what we've learned, and how we can help you possibly keep a positive mindset. And also we like to talk about one of the episodes we spoke about the afterlife, ghosts, etc. And today we have a really, really, really interesting show for you. I know this is going to be a great one. We are joined by Gus Mouhtis. Welcome, Gus.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the show.
Don, Joe, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
We were talking about this for a while. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
And through your show, I want to reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
I could reach a lot more people than I can just talking to them one-on-one. So I want to thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's
We're
our pleasure.
happy to have you here.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for those of you who may not know, Gus is the father of a really good friend of mine, Paul Mouhtis. Shout out, Paul. How are you doing? And Gus, you are, correct me if I'm wrong, you are a forensic psychologist, also clinical psychologist.
Yes.
And
yes.
you are contracted or have been contracted with the Department of Justice for 32 years.
Yeah, since 1990.
Nice.
I still doing some work for him.
Okay.
But I'm on my way out after 32 years. I can tell you guys that type of work is, it takes a lot out of you.
I bet.
And, part of your show is you want to talk about wellness and how to make yourself better and reach your goals. And it's hard. It's really hard, but not impossible. You could do it, and it's a good goal. But I'll be glad to share some of my experiences and hopefully help somebody understand. Or maybe they're just interested and just want to listen and chill out. That's good too.
Yeah. Perfect. Love it.
We're all for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, this is going to be really interesting. Maybe just let's start off, go back as far as you want to go, just a little bit about yourself, give us a little background of who we're going to be listening to today. Who is Gus?
Yeah, so like when you said, right, go back as far as you can go. Okay, yeah, well, I can go back far. I have a very good memory. Some people say I have an eidetic memory. But as I'm getting older, I'm losing it. But I could go back pretty far. What got me interested, I was originally pre-med, and what really fascinated me was psychology, okay? And I said, that's the track I want to go. And I volunteered. My first job was in 1981. I was I guess I was a junior in college. So I volunteered. Back then, we had, college is a lot different now, guys. A lot different than when I went. We had a student volunteer hotline, a suicide hotline. Oh, wow. So I volunteered for that, and that's how I started in the field. They usually give the least experienced people the hardest jobs.
Really?
When I did my internship,
well, I guess if you start the hardest, right?
Right. You start with the hardest, and you're going to fail out, strike out, and that's going to be the end of it. Or guess what? You're gonna like it and move on. That's how I started. I got my bachelor's. I have a master's, and then I thought I wanted to do industrial psychology, where industrial psychology is consumer psychology, sort of propaganda. How somebody, for example, these bottles are green, they're supposed to want you to drink more, or McDonald's that's yellow, or a car, how do you design that? So I did that. I did a master's degree in that. I decided that wasn't for me, and then I moved in towards clinical psychology. I got a PhD in that. Guys, when I went back to the school, there was no such thing as a specialization in forensics. You could only specialize in it after you got your doctoral degree, and that's kind of what I did. But it kind of fell on me by accident. There was an attorney I worked with, and he had a case. And there's a case, there's a show on right now. It's on Netflix. It's about Finding Anna, or it's about this girl that bamboozled. She was a complete fraud. She passed herself off as being a heiress to a great fortune, and she wasn't, and she just ripped everybody off. At least that's the first. Right. So, I'll tell you, the first case that I was on makes her look like a Girl Scout. I know, right? So this lady was ripping off her family. She was doing everything, and that's what got me started. I had an evaluator for this lawyer. Then I got approached by agents, the federal agents that were working on it, and they wanted a contract. They liked my work. They liked my integrity, and that's how the whole thing started.
Wow.
So mainly my focus with the forensics was, there was, of course, white collar crime. Okay, so that could be anything from stock fraud, that could be embezzlement, all kinds of stuff. Right. So that's one thing. Then the other thing was violent crime. So that was mainly gang related crimes. Okay. Then the other thing was organized crime. And the other thing that I specialized in was sex offenders.
Oh, wow.
Sex offenders. Now I could tell you that was, there's a lot more than what you think right now. So any of those that you want to know about, I could talk about some cases, anything else, I'll revert it back to you. Like, you ask me some questions.
Absolutely.
But that's like my thing in a nutshell. So I did that all the way up to 2021 in September, and then I just burnt out. I couldn't do it no more. So I'm finishing up some work, and now I'm basically, doing just regular work. You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, it's very interesting. Actually, I do have a question. Let's revert back to when you were on the hotline for the suicide.
Yeah.
What was the moment? What happened that it clicked for you? Like, this is what I want to do. Was it something that you helped or possibly?
That's a great question. I'll tell you what happened. I mean, there was another guy that he was senior to me. He was last year, but he was one of these guys that he was just a lost guy, but a smart guy. But he was like my supervisor, but he was a student. But look, he was a senior, but he was like 26 years old.
Okay.
This guy got so drunk and so high the first night we were there that he wrecked the place. He literally had, see how you have your nice studio here with the drop ceilings? Yeah. He started punching the ceilings.
Oh, man.
And then, I was on the phone manning it alone,
Okay.
If I could say that, manning it. Yeah, I was manning. I'm a man, and I was manning it. So I was manning it alone, and I'm trying to calm him down and all that. And I said, wow, this pumped me up. I like this. You know what I mean?
The adrenaline.
The adrenaline. So this guy finally got clean. We're friends till this day, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, but he went to a different field. Like I tell you, he's a very smart guy. Not the smartest guy I've ever met. By the way, I'll tell you who it is. But he did very well. But he had to stop drinking and drugging, and he did. I'm very proud of him. So that's how I started that, and I continued. Man, it was just great experience. You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to start somewhere.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. When you said another thing too was, what didn't you like about administrative psychology? Because for me, that is actually pretty cool to see. Like, I didn't know the green meant that they wanted it. By the way, we're drinking Heineken right now from a bottle, and that's the green bottle that Gus is referring to.
Right.
What is it about this green? I don't know. Maybe if you know it, like, why does green want us to like?
Well, it's a soothing color, and this doesn't want to make you eat, but it makes you drink. It's a calming effect. This type of shade of green, if you look at it, it's very calming. The bottle actually looks kind of very sexy, and it's just remember, like I said, I like bottles. I like drinking in a bottle. There's a reason for that, because there's subliminal messages in this color.
It's like the feeling.
In this lettering, the feeling, and you want to drink more.
Okay.
Right, and those subliminal messages are constantly used, not just in industrial psychology, but also in trying to persuade people. If you're watching certain shows, certain news programs, now more than ever, guys, it's being used like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, so the propaganda that's being spewed today, whether from whichever side, is just ridiculous.
You don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah, it's subliminal, and I've never seen anything like this, because like you talk to people, years ago, I got to be honest with you, it's to this day, I don't care who you vote for, what your political ideations are, because as Americans, as humans, we have more in common than not in common. Now it's almost like you have to pick a side. They put a pitchfork to your throat. What do you?
Do you think they do that on purpose?
Yes.
I think there's a play.
Yeah, the play is this, and I could tell you, it's division. They want division, because if there's division, then nobody sees the bigger picture. So if everybody saw what they have in common, then they would be more demanding.
I agree. Yeah, I think
Makes sense.
I think it is all plotted out.
Yeah, it is. It is. Same way that this bottle's plotted out.
Yeah.
The division's plotted.
So you just said there's things with the colors, the red and yellow, McDonald's.
Yeah, that's right.
Communism is red and yellow.
Communism, but also conservatism in this country. If you wear a red shirt like I am, you could be conservative. Let me give you an example. So if I wore a MAGA hat to New York City, I wouldn't probably make it out alive. Not that I would. I wouldn't wear it. I don't wear my political colors on my sleeve. Probably wouldn't make it out alive. That should never be, guys. It should never be.
No, it should never be. You should be able to have a disagreement, but talk it out.
That'd be fine.
And that's it.
Not get baseball batted because you're spit on or punched out because you're doing something like that. You know, it's ridiculous.
Is that something that's kind of new? Because like growing up, like I'm not that old, obviously, but I don't remember like when Bush was president or Obama. It's like, oh, you voted for Obama? Like, fuck you.
No,
like,
I mean, I could go all the way. The first guy I voted for, guys, that's a great question. The first president that when I was able to vote, was in 1980. Okay, because I was 18 in 1978, so it wasn't a presidential year. But you know, I've always voted. I always got involved. The first president I voted for was Ronald Reagan, only because it was quite a bit like it is right now. You know, the economy was to hell. Inflation was unbelievable. In 1979, we had gas lines. So you literally would have to wait in line to get gas.
Wow.
There was no such thing as Zoom to be able to do your work. You needed gas to get to work, and you couldn't get it. And the sentiment back then was, you know, a lot of World War II guys were alive then. They were probably my age at the time. And, you know, they said, listen, I fought for this country. Now we've got to wait in line to get gas.
Yeah.
And it was all about policies. It was all about being perceived that we were weak. You had the Iranian hostage situation where they took hostage our American embassy. And I'll never forget this, you know. Ronald Reagan won in a landslide because people had it. The misery index for everybody was very high. And as the hostages are getting released from Iran and boarding the plane, Ronald Reagan's being sworn in. As soon as Ronald Reagan was sworn in, the plane with the hostages being returned to the United States was off the tarmac.
Really?
Really, because you know what? People didn't screw around. They knew he wouldn't screw around. Well, he turned everything around. It took a long time. It took like 3 years, 4 years. But the economy boomed after that. It was a great time. And I was able to get a job. You know, in 1982, when I got out of college, I had to take menial jobs. The economy was very rough. So that's when you ask your question, it's important to know, especially now, you could get bamboozled, you could get hoodwinked, you could get, you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
That's why I like you guys here. You're honest. This is what you present. You know, we might not be right, we might not be wrong, but we're truthful.
Yeah.
To what we're saying. It's the truth as we see it.
Exactly.
So somebody else may go back in time and help me. Maybe they were making a lot of money during the Iranian hostages. Maybe they owned a gas station. So it was a good time. I was making a lot of money, you know. But it wasn't a good time for the average person. I was talking to a kid down here in the Wawa getting gas here, and he said it's not even worth it for him because he'll get minimum wage now. It's close to $15 an hour, but just the gas that he has to use to come to work. That's not good.
That is ridiculous.
You can't make ends meet on that.
You really cannot.
No, you can't. So I see a lot. Society, like, so let me just tell you this, that right now what my focus is, I always used to focus in on micropsychology. That's the individual and small groups. Now I want to focus in more sociologically on the macro, because some of these individual principles that drive us as individuals drive society.
Okay.
So you could get into tribalism, you could get into something that's called groupthink. If enough people were part of a tribe, that's where we belong. So that's almost like a clique in middle school. Remember middle school? You had the cliques, and you were either with the skateboarders or whatever the cliques may have been.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
So is groupthink is essentially basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if there's 5 or 10 of us and one person says that they believe the sky is green and they say that they heard it from a scientist even though the sky is blue, to not feel uncomfortable, you just go with what the group thinks. Like if all of them think 9, that last person's going to think it, right?
Right, and that's dangerous, because what happens is you get that people in leadership positions. So you have a president, and you don't want to argue with the president. However, John F. Kennedy had always he always wanted 2 people in a meeting, and they would rotate, that would challenge the hell out of anything he said.
He wanted that.
He welcomed it because he wanted to avoid groupthink. The other politicians and generals that do that are the Israelis. They do that. They want to be challenged. They want you, as a smart person, to come back at me. Because guess what? When you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're the dumbest person in the room. The way you learn is you ask questions. You must know a lot more than me in some things, and vice versa. And this is how we learn.
Yeah, I like that. I like that there's a similar quote that I heard. It was, if you're the strongest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Same thing. If you're the smartest person in the room, you like you're saying, you may not be smart, or maybe you're just in the wrong room. Maybe now those people can't challenge you. Now you have to find people who can challenge you.
Yeah, and I always tell people, look, there's always somebody richer, somebody poorer, and somebody stronger, and somebody that could always put you down.
Yeah.
So
I think
don't challenge that, because and you accept that, you're a lot happier.
It's true. It kind of reminded me when we were talking about groupthink. I saw this thing online to where there was 2 circles put on a board, and they said, which circle's bigger? And they had the group raise their hands, A or B, and everybody said A, and most people raised their hand and said A, and then the other small group said B. Well, nobody wanted to raise their hand because all the other ones said A.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, then the answer was they're both the same size.
And they slowly raise their hand, and they're looking around. Well, what do you think it is?
Yeah.
So are you afraid to be wrong?
Yeah.
But the lesson in that was the instructor said, this one's bigger.
Yeah.
And then they believed him because he said it enough times.
Correct. That is the lesson.
But actually, they were the same size.
They're the same size.
So-
Yeah. It's the same measurement. But because the instructor says it, you don't challenge it. Wait a minute, they look the same.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
so is groupthink then a big topic that's come up recently? Is mass psychosis formation? I think is that similar to groupthink, or is there distinguished?
Well, mass psychosis is this, that if you're looking at reality and you're saying, what am I basing my reality on? The first thing you have to say is, maybe I'm basing my reality on some false information that's given to me. So if you base your reality on false information, then it spreads, you have mass psychosis. Let me give you an example. So you had so many things recently. All right, so let's just start with COVID, okay? You started with COVID. There was mass hysteria. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you have the attack by the Russians in Ukraine, and COVID's over. Nobody talks about it.
Right?
Nobody wears masks. Nobody gives a shit.
It's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And now you don't worry about the war so much. You took a little bit of a reprieve because Will Smith, right?
Smacked
Chris,
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Chris Rock.
Which
Rock,
we
right?
came out and put a
It
press.
wasn't Chris Tucker because he took lessons from
Yeah,
Jackie Chan.
We put a press release about that out. by the way.
But for we'll take it from your podcast. We said we didn't really. Yeah, we don't care
We said
about
we didn't
what
care.
Will Smith smacking him, because it's so true. Though you have so many things that are going on, and so many like you said. Remember how you said the division to distract from the purpose?
Yeah.
There's so many distractions.
That's right.
And not even. Let's just say, even if you don't believe that it was someone a higher up telling, "Hey, Will Smith, like from Hollywood, slap him," to even if it's just happened. Everyone just cares about this one stupid thing instead of what's actually going on in the world.
You know, guys, I got to tell you something. If no matter how desperate I was for money or whatever, if somebody told me to slap somebody for that, I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
It's
do it. I
respect.
wouldn't humiliate another man.
You're right.
You learn respect.
You're right.
You learn respect, and you don't do that.
yeah.
You just don't do that.
I think
If you
that's
do,
something we've lost.
you could get punched back. Yeah, there's no respect. You know, as a man, and it's, I'm not a tough guy, but I do have respect. I have respect for other people. I have respect for men. I have respect for a guy's wife, his girlfriend. I would never disrespect anybody. Family. That's the way I was raised,
100%.
and I will not bend to that. I would never do that. Now,
Amen.
would I be mad if Chris Rock was making fun of my wife? No, because he's a comedian. Now, let's just say I was, and she got offended. I would never smack him like that. Never.
No.
Because he didn't try to hurt me.
Yeah.
What I would do is get him on the side and say, "Yeah, Chris, like, could you?" My wife was kind of offended. I mean, I didn't mean that. You know, he probably said, "I didn't mean to do it." Could you just apologize to her? And he would do it. That's the type of guy he probably is. And if he didn't, you put your best foot down. And if she insisted that I slap him, I'd say, forget about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna slap.
I'm not going to slap him. I'm not going to do that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why, like, I don't know if that was real or not. I don't know.
It looked real.
It looked real,
Guys, I got to tell you, it looked real. And a lot of people say.
but I don't know if it was a setup.
Well, that's another thing.
setup
Let me explain something to you. I was always taught how to read body language. That's one thing that I learned.
Oh, that's a,
Oh,
that's
wait, this
a
is
big
cool.
one. That's a
Yeah,
big one.
Also,
Okay.
I was taught lip reading.
Okay.
Okay, so now his body language was such that was not orchestrated, because Will Smith came right up, and just picture somebody angry at you over there, and they're coming up to you, and then you're saying, "Nah, they're not going to hit me. It's the middle of the Oscars." Chris Rock saying, "No shit, they ain't gonna," and then bang!
Right.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me, greatest, and then he made a comeback. That's
Yeah.
how good he was. He did a great job.
Yeah, you're right.
Will Smith, though, I don't know. Come on, man. A slap, really.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Humiliated the guy.
Come on.
But I don't believe that was orchestrated just from the
Interesting.
body language. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I don't believe it, because Rock is just, he's just there saying, "No, he ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
He's probably just gonna he's gonna just screw around with me." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just by Will Smith's shoulders being forward, his body language, I would have been like this.
Yeah.
You know, because
Okay.
I would have known. I would have had to block it because he's coming in to get
coming.
me.
Exactly.
He's coming for me. Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of with the body language, like with these reporters when they're being asked tough questions online about, let's say, COVID, vaccines, all these things. Bill Gates is one person that I've seen a lot of body language from. He's scratching his arms.
Yeah, he
and
does that a lot.
Fauci online when he's talking, being asked hard questions.
Yeah.
You know, you're scratching your head. All these little things.
When somebody's going to lie, there's always going to be a cover. They're usually going to look up and to the left. Now, other body language experts will disagree with me, but you give me somebody in front of me, and I could 9 out of 10 times I'll tell you that if they're being truthful or not. They're going to make a mistake.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to.
That's really cool. So I don't know how much you know about this. I've read something, and this could be BS, that lie detector tests aren't actually as accurate because there's ways to beat them, and sometimes it's just the person being nervous, being questioned, even if they're innocent, that may shoot their lie. Is that true? Is there any truth to that? Or?
Well, the lie detector tests are inadmissible in court, and that's a great question because at least with sex offenders, they have to go and get a lie detector test. Now, they can't convict you on a lie detector test because it's not foolproof, and any of the above could be true. One guy that gives a polygraph test, I kind of challenged him with a question because, he goes, I said, what if somebody's nervous, just like you said, or whatever? Oh, no, I could still. This guy was saying he could detect anybody that's lying on the lie detector test. That's not true, I don't think. Because what if somebody's autistic? What if somebody is schizophrenic?
Yeah.
What if somebody's bipolar? What if somebody's depressed? What if somebody's delusional?
Damn.
Okay,
They're
so-
not in the proper state of mind.
Yeah,
you're
you got to take that. So that's why it's important to work as a team. So that's a good question. And no, they're not. So sociopaths could beat them. Could beat a lie detector test because sociopaths, their heart rate does not go up.
Really? Oh.
Sociopath.
Have you ever had a client that beat a lie detector test, but you knew that they did it?
Did I know they did and they beat a lie detector test? Sure, yeah. Of course, yeah. So did the feds, yeah. They know.
And you guys are probably like, ah, shit.
No, but that doesn't absolve them.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll come back, oh, my client beat a polygraph. That's inadmissible.
Yeah.
Shut up.
What does inadmissible mean?
Inadmissible means you can't bring it into court. You could bring it into court for the judge to consider.
Okay.
But because it's not a foolproof test, there's no judge probably or a jury that'll convict you just on a lie detector
Gotcha.
test.
Yeah.
Because it's not the validity of it is not 100%.
That's
Think about it. If we had a test,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Like your audience, you should listen to this. Because if we had a test that's 100% validity, like a real lie detector test, why would we need judges and lawyers?
Hey, look at that.
You go up to Trump, hey, they're accusing you of going a Russian disinformation. Did you do this with Putin? Did you do it? No, you're lying. Or you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Why do we need any? I wish we did.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, that's
I'd be out of a job.
Yeah. You'd be screwed.
That would be good. That would
That's
be
great.
good. I wouldn't be as messed up as I am.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, there's no foolproof. Could you imagine if there was though?
I don't know why I've never thought about that. That's perfect. If there was an actual foolproof test, the whole system
You
of
got your
judicial
wife, your
systems out.
girlfriend.
You would always do the right thing.
Yeah.
'Cause you're like,
Yeah.
I'm screwed either way, so I
Your
might as well do the right
Your
thing.
girlfriend, where were you? Did you cheat on me? No.
Oh,
You're lying.
It's like a bell goes
There
off.
was an episode, I think, of Miami Vice, a long time ago. It was a good show. And this guy actually had a voice type of, it recognized the pitch of your voice.
Yeah.
He would just go, did you do this? He had an accent. The guy would go, no. He lied. Boom. What the hell, man?
That's how it goes.
That's exactly how it would go. So there's no such thing. That's why you have juries and courts and evidence. And a lot of people that are guilty, they get away with it. And some people that are innocent, guys are serving time in prison.
That's what. You ever see the show Making a Murderer?
Yes.
I haven't caught that.
That one, with no background in psychology or criminal analysis, I think that guy was framed 100%.
I think he was.
I think he was
Then
framed.
again, it was the show.
Yes. And
So,
we could have been
I don't
shown. So essentially what it was is this guy was released from prison because he was accused of, and I think convicted, right?
He was.
Of a murder of a woman back in like the 80s. But then something happened with the evidence and they released him, right? Because it couldn't have been proven. So what he decided to do was like, oh, okay, well, I just spent the past 2-3 decades in prison.
Yeah,
I'm going to sue the hell out of this town in Wisconsin that definitely doesn't have the amount. Like he was about to get $30 million, and then all of a sudden, boom, another murder. And it's like, okay, is it possible that this guy murdered the person? Sure
it is.
But also now when they apparently there was something in like the police were tampering with evidence or they planted evidence, I should say, because there wasn't like something, there was like no phone in the room, and then they planted it. All of a sudden the cops come out with a phone. He's like, dude, it wasn't ever there. And I thought,
you know, Joey, I mean, you raise a great point, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the judicial system.
Okay.
Oh, let's go right into
guys,
it.
let me tell you something. Don't get in any type of trouble. Most prosecutors I know are there to put you away. They're not there to help you. You know, God forbid if you ever get arrested, please say nothing until you speak to a lawyer. Don't even say hello. Just say, I wish to remain silent. Why? I'll tell you why. Because even if you're innocent, what you say can be used by them to pin you to a story. Okay? So if you remain silent, you don't say anything, they think they have something on you, you pin them to their story and break it apart. You see the difference?
Okay.
If you open your mouth, they'll pin you, but you said you were the blah, 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 blah. Now, let me tell you guys, I'll tell you something right now. And I do rehabilitation, group therapy, guys that have done prison time, they've done for a variety of reasons, you know, whether they were drug dealers or they were murderers or whatever, gang members, okay, organized crime figures. It's the same thing. And here's the thing that I tell them, I challenge them. Think of the perfect crime, and I'll give you 10 ways you're going to get caught. You think of the perfect crime.
Yeah.
And they come up. Now, look, with these phones, with facial recognition, everybody, right now, somebody knows where I am. I'm right here. They can pinpoint right here. I pin right on this table where I am. You can't get away with anything with facial recognition. No way.
Yeah. No, these things are, unless you break the phone, they know where you are.
Even if you're in the wilderness, they'll find you. There's cameras all over the place. There's satellites. Cameras all over
in the wilderness.
There very well is, facial recognition. Now you say that, but you have satellites.
Yeah.
They could pinpoint where anybody is. I shouldn't even say this, but that was a joke. Why? When they couldn't get Osama bin Laden,
that was the biggest joke.
They knew exactly where he was all the time.
No. But that's interesting you say that. It's almost as if they decided to go in when they decided it was okay. Fuck it.
They decided to go in when they decided that it was in their time to go in.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's a big joke.
So is it possible then, when people talk about moving off grid, where they have satellite phones and they're completely like in the middle of Montana, middle of Wyoming, in like the desolate woods, and they're running on their own, they're dependent on their own water. Yeah. Are they still being watched at that point?
No, because nobody gives a shit about you at that point. You have to give them a reason to give a shit about you.
Got it. Okay.
Now, do they like that you're out there and grow your own crops and live? Well, yeah, you're just some jerk that they can't control.
Yeah. Got it.
You know what I mean? What are you going to do anyway? You're living on $500 a year, you know? Yeah. Like the Unabomber.
The Unabomber.
Remember the Unabomber?
Oh, yeah, Kaczynski.
Kaczynski, right.
There's a Netflix show about that as well.
Right.
Why am I drawing a blank on the Unabomber?
The Unabomber's Ted Kaczynski. Now, the Unabomber...
Kaczynski sounds familiar.
Yeah, the Unabomber was... He was against technology. He was against computers. And they called him the Unabomber because he would make bombs, homemade bombs. He lived in a remote cabin in Montana. But he was a genius. He had his PhD in mathematics. He went to Harvard. He was actually did experiments with a guy named Henry Murray in Harvard that were experiments backed by the CIA for control and interrogation. And that influenced his life, I think. And then what he decided to do is quit his university position that he had as a very young man and started writing his manifesto about how... And he was right about a lot of things.
There was a lot of things in there.
He's absolutely right. If you read it, it's good reading. But
he has a book, or not
it was his manifesto. It was Bob Guccione that decided to publish it. Nobody wanted to publish it. He goes, I'll stop bombing people. Just to tell you, because you might have not know the details on the case. So he would get an executive up here in Caldwell. He'd send them a bomb. He'd open it, the package. It was a package bomb. Boom, it blows up.
Oh, shit.
That one was back in the 90s.
It was a good show.
I was involved in that. Yeah? I was involved in that investigation here in Jersey.
Can you speak to that right now or no?
And I can say that it wasn't the guy we were looking for. He wasn't in Jersey.
Oh, shit.
But inevitably, the guy we got did have pipe bombs in his basement.
Oh my God.
But it wasn't him.
Shit.
What got the Unabomber? Because that's a good point. Let me tell you something. That was a great point that you raised. You know, look, if he just lived out there and he didn't want to be bothered with nobody, nobody would bother with him either. That's the truth. But he would meticulously make the bombs. He would make his own wooden screws. He knew exactly forensically back then what the FBI would look for. I mean, the FBI is great people, very brilliant people. They know exactly what to look for when they make the bomb. Boom, it explodes. So let's just say a screw was metal and he bought it at the hardware store. They'd be able to tell just by the screw, the metallurgy of the screw, where he got it.
Really?
Even back then.
That
So
is
he would make them
wild.
out of wood. You know, he was a master chess player. He'd be 5 steps ahead of him. Let me tell you how he got caught. He would have never got caught, but I'll tell you how he got caught. So how he got caught was, he just said, look, I'll stop the bombing and all this nonsense that I'm doing. Just publish my manifesto. I want my manifesto to be read by people. So a guy that ran Penthouse, his name was Bob Guccione. Bob Guccione said, okay, I'll publish it. I'll publish the fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'll publish it. And there is something called forensic syntax of language, which is part of linguistics, of how he wrote. Now, his brother read the manifesto. His brother says that that's Ted's writing. The syntax is the same.
Ted's brother.
Ted's brother that read it. He was a normal guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was married, had a kid. So he brings it to the FBI. You know, how the hell, we can't even get a warrant based on that. We can't even get a warrant. How do you prove it? Okay, you think that's his writing. That's not enough. Okay, so there was an FBI agent that wouldn't give up. He got a linguistics expert to look at the writing and convince the judge to get a warrant. And they went to his cabin, and that's how they got the Unabomber.
Damn.
He would have still been
Wow.
out there and bombing the shit out of everybody. Now with the Apple phones and all that, he really would have been going on.
Oh, ridiculous. You'd get a phone and
So
that's
if he
it.
didn't post that manifesto, he would still, he
Bob
never would have got caught.
Bob Gucci, I don't believe he ever would have gotten caught. Ever. I really don't.
Just because he lived off the land.
He lived off the grid. He lived in a cabin, maybe from here to
like a
the wall.
shed, right?
A shed, like a shed, exactly.
Isn't it crazy how a lot of criminals, when they always want to see their own work, or they want people to like, and he basically led to his own demise. Like if he didn't have an ego about it.
Well, because of this, because he actually believed in his manifesto. He actually, if you read it, it makes sense. People think he's crazy. He wasn't crazy. He's a very smart person, and a lot of the things that he predicted in his manifesto when it was released in the 90s have all come to fruition.
Wow.
Everything.
Can you give some examples of? Because I'm not familiar with that.
Oh God, I could give you so many examples. How we would be controlled by technology, how we would be glued to the computers, how it would take away jobs, how it would take away socialization, among other things that he predicted generally politically that would be happening in society that are happening now.
And he saw it all coming.
Big time. Did you read some of it? You sound like you did.
I watched the movie.
You watched the movie. Read the manifesto. I think you could get it free. It's online.
One thing that really stuck out to me was, I think it was towards the end of the documentary. He goes, "You stop at a red light like a sheep when there's nobody around you at 2 a.m. in the morning. Why are you stopping at a red light?"
Yo, hold on a second.
Because it's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, well,
So
I
he kinda
stop
got
at a
into
red
that.
light, but I'm always looking around because you know what?
Yeah.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, there's only 2 types of people out.
Yeah.
Cops and robbers.
But it kind of makes you think, like, wait, I am controlled by that little red light.
Yeah.
Right. But stopping at a red light, then it's the right thing to do.
It
However, if you want to, you got to be careful. And I mean, look, a cop could be right there. It's up to you. But I would stop personally. And
Me
I'd be
too.
looking
Yeah,
around
for
I
sure.
don't know,
to
it's just
see
an
if somebody's
interesting
going to come
perspective
because I don't
on
want to
that.
get broadsided. I don't want to get a ticket.
Yeah.
But he's right. But you're controlled in different ways, and that's what he saw. That's just one example of how he did it.
You know what though? It's a shame for one reason. So obviously he's killed all these people, right? Blown up bombs.
That's the part that was bad. That's the part where he went off the grid.
Exactly.
Off the grid in his own mind. He became a murderer.
Exactly.
And he's not known as a great professor. He was a great professor in mathematics and quantum and all types of mathematical equations that he did, right? So he could have been just great teaching some of this stuff. And who knows? I dare say that if I could speak to him right now, I'd say, Ted, You would have been better off just keeping your university position and being a guy like Jordan Peterson, maybe now with podcasts like this, influencing a lot of people. Nobody could stop you because everybody would be nodding at, you've been talking about this for years. Or write a book.
It's almost like you missed a golden gem or something.
Yeah, but he cracked because I think personally, because everybody, Americans are funny people. They always want a reason why somebody did that. How about that they just did?
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Okay.
How come the guy is an alcoholic? If there's no reason, maybe he just is. The important thing is to get him to stop. That's the thing.
So sometimes there's not like a certain thing that a murderer has to where they just did it.
Well, here's the thing. There's crimes of passion that you don't plan, which is like second-degree murder. You walk in, say your wife's in bed with another guy, and you lose it, and it's either manslaughter or it's not premeditated murder, but the guy dies or she dies or whatever. Well, that's different than plotting it out. That's first degree. You plot it out. Now, where it gets to be serial killer is you plot it out and you're 5 steps ahead of everybody. That's why serial killers are very, very smart people. And you have your 5 chess moves ahead of people, and you have all these riddles and everything else. So.
But why do you think
they all get caught, though? Pretty much.
What drives them to be like a sociopath? Like, can we get into the mind of that?
Yeah, sure. We could get in the mind of that. Yeah, and it's real.
Question.
You know what? It's a great question, and it's real simple. Genetics. Certain people are just born where they don't have a high. They're super ego, so to speak. They're conscious. It's not developed at all, so they don't think anything of it, and they have no problems killing. It's just they feel nothing. They feel numb.
Do you also think that it comes into play? They say let's just say pedophiles.
Yes.
Most pedophiles were sexually abused by their parents or by someone else that they knew.
Yeah. That's not exactly totally the whole thing. It's only part of it. Pedophilia, guys, this is going to be a hard pill to swallow, but it's going to be, mark my words, it's going to be coming up. It's going to be brought to you as a sexual orientation. I promise you.
Oh yeah, no, they already have the minor attracted person. They're trying. Yeah.
Okay. And the people we get mainly is people that download child pornography. Now, if anything, I got to tell your audience, even from young people like teenagers, child pornography, anything under 18, audience, it's highly illegal. If you get caught, you'll do 5 years in a federal prison.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Now, the reason why I say that is because you could even be an 18-year-old guy, and say you're dating a 16-year-old girl, and you're exchanging nude pictures. 18-year-old guy, a person that's above 18, they catch it on your phone, on your hard drive, they could charge you. I promise you.
Wow. Shit.
Yeah.
Isn't it also
Not
true if
worth
you're
it.
like 18 and you're dating a 17-year-old, you have to have the approval of the parents of the 17-year-old?
Well, the age of consent for sex, I think in New Jersey is like 16. However, make no mistake about it. The older the gap is, the wider the gap are, the more you get.
Hell yeah, no, for
there
sure.
There was one case that I had that I could just kind of change a few things that I could talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
The guy was about 25, and he was on. You know how you play virtually games?
Right. Yeah.
So he thought he was conversing and playing with another 25-year-old woman that was in another state, but he wasn't. But for years he was playing with her, and he was like a better word, he was a techie type guy, and so was she. Here's the problem. The problem was that he developed genuine feelings for her while playing these games. The problem was she wasn't 25. She passed herself off as 25. She was more like 14.
Holy shit.
And they started exchanging pictures. The mother got the pictures.
Oh, fuck.
And called up the police. The police called up the FBI. And the guy got 10 years.
What was...
He got 10 years in a federal...
Yeah, he thought she was 25.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then again,
when
picture.
he saw... That's right. And that's where he fucked up, because when he saw the pictures, he was still there, so to speak.
You're right, yeah, because it's so obvious.
As soon as you see that one time, you gotta be like, what the fuck?
Get the fuck out of here.
What is
Burn the phone, fucking throw it.
But, he was a very overweight guy, almost 400 pounds, and, he was just not, just like, What could I say? He wasn't savvy with women.
Yeah.
The women didn't pay attention to him. He lived throughout that game. I could see. I don't agree with it at all, guys. I don't. Listen. He paid a very dear price. He never touched the girl.
Yeah.
He paid a very dear price. He had 10 years in a federal prison. That's a long time.
That's
it's like I can't imagine doing a 1 month in prison, let alone this guy's doing 25 years, 50 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's people that are, there's one guy that was a pilot in the Navy, and when he got out, he needed money or whatever, and he started running, flying drugs for the cartel back in the 80s.
Well, that was a big thing, right?
Yeah, it was big, but he's still in prison. Still in prison.
Is this not the one that? Is this? I mean, there's probably multiple pilots that have done that in the 80s. Is this the one that they represented in Narcos? The guy they called him Elliot.
Joe, it may have very well been.
Really? You're thinking of Tom Cruise. That was Top Gun.
No, Top Gun.
Yeah, that was Top Gun.
Oh, yeah, the fighter pilot. Shooting down MiGs.
Yeah, shooting down MiGs. That's right. Yeah.
So actually, I want to go back. So the case you said of that. You worked on that case with the
Unabomber?
No, the guy that was sending the pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you can go into it, but when speaking to him, did he like feel any remorse? Did he feel like he did anything wrong? Or was
absolutely. He's a great kid.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Good kid. Good family. Paid a dear price.
Okay.
Very remorseful.
Yeah. Be very careful out there. I mean,
but please, guys, it's highly illegal. Now in Europe, they don't make as big deal of it. For example, if you take a picture, I've been to Europe. You have nude beaches. You have kids running around nude. Like if you snap a picture of a kid, and the old ways they used to do it is not like the phones now. You used to have to give the film in to be developed, and they see a kid that's nude, you could be in trouble back then.
For sure.
It's just, you got to always be careful. Let's just know that's very highly illegal. I think that should be taught to every kid that's in school. Absolutely, because you're 14, 15, you might be exchanging dick pictures or whatever the hell it's called.
Joe, you gotta knock that off.
I don't get
texting me in the middle of the night. I'm like, dude, I'm sleeping.
We gotta go. Me
and Don have
Dick Pics Anonymous.
No, but you
for the record, I do not send dick pics to anybody.
I'm always joking around.
Oh,
except Don.
You guys are amazed though, so you're okay.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were very confident that this is going to be a new thing, that they're going, this third. I don't know what you call it. Orientation. What makes you so sure of that?
I see it now. I mean, I see it now. It's creeping up.
Do you think, and this is the theory that I have, that they are trying to make this such a normal, they're trying to normalize it for the sole reason that many people in power in the world are pedophiles. And then when it comes out...
I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, that is true. There's so many that are. And I'll tell you what, this goes back to the beginning of humankind. I mean, take a look at something. When the Catholic churches, at one time Catholic priests could get married, right?
I actually didn't know that.
That's right.
Either.
And it only changed with Pope Gregory. I think it was in the 1400s. Now, Pope Gregory said, you know what? I'm not paying for their kids, for their wives. Screw them. Let them take a vow of celibacy. Huh. Now, imagine back then if you were homosexual or if you were a pedophile, the church would be the perfect place to deny your sexuality.
Holy shit.
Right. It'd be the perfect place to hide and deny your sexuality.
Yeah.
Because if you came out as gay or lesbian or bisexual, whatever, back then, I mean, look, there's countries right now you'll get killed. You go to Saudi Arabia and you're gay, they'll hunt you down.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Chop you up. That's the truth. They'll throw you off a building. Yeah. And I have conversations with my sister-in-law is gay, and I have this conversation with her all the time. I said, you're some things that we've done in this country you're not fond of, but you're married, you got rights, you got some of the things that we did were very much wrong, but there's still parts of the world where slavery exists, where prejudice exists, where you get killed just for your sexual orientation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah, and if you go to Thailand, pedophilia is rampant. That's what a lot of
way.
Yes,
that's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, that's what same with like the Philippines, I think too. I've heard of different people.
Philippines, but mainly Thailand. That's where we find all these guys. Yeah, they'll be in Thailand. And I say guys, it's mainly guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
It's you hear
some
about like
women, but I got to be honest with you, they don't get as much trouble as men, because if you have like a 23-year-old, pretty teacher, whatever, and I don't know, she starts screwing with a 16-year-old male, They might not say anything. I don't know.
Yeah. I think
It's a double standard.
it is a double
I
standard.
know I wouldn't say anything, but that's just me.
I had a few teachers that wouldn't have mind.
Yeah.
I think what that comes down to though is and I'm not justifying either here
No,
or
I don't
there.
either. I'm
No,
not-
no, yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
absolutely no.
No,
You definitely
no.
weren't justifying. But I think
No.
what that comes down to is by nature, men are viewed as beasts.
Without a
and
doubt, Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Exactly.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
So women are more.
Yeah.
What do you call? Like they're more. I used like the
Nurture.
peace. Nurture. That's what it is.
Nurturing, yes.
Nurture.
And that's, there were some of these cases now that are popping up all over the place. And, I could see a 16, 17-year-old adolescent, but this chick had a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, a kid, and that's getting a little too young.
It's
getting a
ridiculous.
little too young.
How about these or if you have these 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds that you see and you hear all these stories that are going after 14,
It's
13,
disgusting.
even less than that it makes you want to vomit.
You pop them up, you'd be surprised how many people are online and looking at child pornography, and you got to be very careful. Most of the child pornography sites are probably stings by the FBI to lure these people
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Since we found the internet, in the 1990s, we had so many cases. The prisons are full of people like this.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. They get
And they get punished heavy, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. The minimum they'll get is 5 years, unless there's some circumstances where they have to get less. They get anywhere between 10, 15, 20 years, depending on the volume that they
Yeah.
have. If they have a movie, for example, each reel counts as an image. Each reel of the film or
Film.
the video counts as one image. Yeah, like this one kid came up to me and said, well, he goes, I only had 3 images. I leaned over. I said, dude, you had 3 videos. That's why they got 200,000 images, because you had 3 videos.
In jail for 60 years.
Right.
Yeah, well, that case, we have maybe 8 years. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time.
It is.
Now, do I think they deserve that kind of time? If they didn't touch nobody, look, the exploitation of those kids on the films, that's serious. They should get some time.
Yeah.
But come on, man, getting somebody like that 10 years, it's a lot. I think the system has moved away from rehabilitation, and it's more draconian and punitive.
Okay.
That's what I think right now. And it's the way it is. But you could easily kind of counsel them. That you could do an evaluation on them and see if they need more help, less help. And, most of those guys, if you tell them, look, they'd probably rather cut their head off rather than ever do that again, because they got punished big time.
Yeah, they probably also got punched in jail.
There's a lot.
yeah.
There's a lot of problems. For example, the people, they're not supposed to find out why you're in there, but they do.
Yeah.
And they're the lowest rung of the totem pole in there. So what happens is that, you get a guy that's doing 20 years, he's one of these tough guys. They just look at him the wrong way, and they use him as a punching bag, which is wrong. Yeah.
What I was gonna say, I have so many things
questions
that
about the prison system?
Oh yeah, no. So I had so many things going
me
through
too.
my mind, but I have I have questions that I wanted to ask you about clients that you have gone from the prison system,
Yes.
how you saw them.
Mhm.
So prison's supposed to be a rehabilitation, right? That's how they make it.
Supposed to be.
Supposed to be. So do you see that a lot of these clients, when they come out, how are they distraught? What do you see in them? Do you see rehabilitation? Do you see?
Well, with the federal system, let's just say you have a white collar crime.
Okay.
Let's just say you're a doctor, a lawyer, accountant. You do something wrong. You're wrecked. You'll never get licensed again.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. Best thing to do is open up your own business, because you're not working again.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that. Oh yeah, I'll get my license back. I rarely ever see that, guys.
Okay.
I haven't seen that. But let's just take a look at your question. I guess is, how do they get in? What happens?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is, let's just say let's do white collar criminals. Let's just say it's a doctor. Let's just say here's how a doctor could get in a lot of trouble. I could tell you generalities with this case. They're prescribing too many oxys or too many benzodiazepines, tranquilizers, right? It starts off very insidiously. What happens is that somebody comes in and they say, "Oh, we'll pay you cash. I'm having pain. I'm having anxiety." Guy writes a script. Hey man, just made $300 cash. No problem, this guy. I'll come back every week.
Mhm.
No problem. But then his buddies start coming in.
Mm.
Pretty soon, the guy's practice is infestated with these guys.
Now he's a drug dealer.
Yeah.
$300 every pop. He starts taking it. It's easy money. He sees him for,
Yeah.
bless you, my son. That's
Yeah.
the end, right? Okay. And here's what happens. Now, he starts getting called in. The DEA, what are you doing? What the hell? 700,000 prescriptions in a month? Right?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And now he calls up the guy that originally came in, which is usually the head guy, and he goes, listen, I can't write this stuff no more. And the guy takes out a gun, puts it in his mouth. He goes, yeah, you're going to do it. And then what happens is that he does it until agents come in, they investigate it, they get arrested. And guess who gets charged as the kingpin? It's the doctor, because the tough guy that pulled the gun out on him rats him out. The person that rats out first, that speaks, cooperates, wins.
There was like the lesser sentence.
Yes.
Huh.
It's
So in
interesting.
this one case, what happened was this doctor got some type of paperwork or whatever got mixed up, and they were just going to give this person probation. This person decided to fight it, and well, guys, I'm going to tell you, 99.7% conviction rate. Never go to trial with the federal system. They always win
Really?
Like you're saying, federal always wins.
because they have such a tight case on you that there's no way to beat them.
How about, wait, is this only if you know you did something? What if you really are innocent and you want to fight the hell out of this? Still don't go?
I'll go to jail for a couple of years rather than fight and go to trial and get 15 years. I'll go.
Holy shit.
I would personally go to jail.
Because you know you have a better chance.
Well, because I have no chance going to trial because they got the whole United States Treasury. Who am I going to get as a lawyer? I mean,
Oh, good point.
Oh, no, it's like,
I could get the top lawyer. I mean, unless you're like OJ, you can get a dream team. But OJ wasn't the feds either.
It's true.
oh, so you're saying with the feds when you're in federal court?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting.
I've seen people get wrecked. I've seen people get. But I'll tell you what, guys. I've never seen anybody who was completely innocent that got thrown under the bus. That I gotta say.
Okay.
I've never seen anybody in 32 years that was completely innocent and framed. Never.
Okay.
They were guilty.
There's always two sides to the
Yeah,
story. Three sides.
the prosecutors aren't out to put you away. They're not out to, just like a cop is not out. The worst cop I know, or the worst cops I know, are never going to wake up one day and say, my goal is to go out and shoot somebody. No, they just want to come home, and they're the worst cops. The worst prosecutors don't want to put anybody away that's innocent. They don't. They have too many people coming across their desk that are obviously guilty.
Yeah.
And they don't have even enough time to take a look at crimes, and they have to triage. You have to pick and choose who they want. And if your number comes up, usually it's somebody that opens up their mouth, and that's what happens.
Shit.
You've been around these people for a long time. Would you say that most people are good?
Yeah, most people are workable. Most of the people that I work with, like 90% of them would fit right in here. 10% would not. I wouldn't want to be around them, really, to be honest with you. But most are rehabilitated. They've done very well. I've had very low recidivism with the people I worked with, so they've done quite well.
That's good.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, they've done quite well.
Yeah, proof in the pudding. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So going back to that, so you laid out a great example of a doctor turning into a drug kingpin.
Drug dealer.
Yeah. So then in this example, of course, he's guilty. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got a 99.7 conviction rate. He goes to jail. Now he comes out of jail, and you see him, or are you seeing him before and after?
Well, I'll be dead by the time the person gets out. I mean, they got like 28 years.
28 years.
Yeah, so they're gone. Yeah.
There you go. Hey,
Oh,
Steph.
by the way, there's this myth that if you're old and decrepit and they won't arrest you and put you away. That's not true. There's a federal hospital in Butner, North Carolina. By the way, that's where Ted Kaczynski is now because he's old.
Okay.
And it's like a nursing home. And there's another one in Missouri. There's like 2,200 people with wheelchairs there.
Yeah.
They'll do your time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting off.
No, and there was a case where a mob guy, actually he was from New Jersey, and he was able to convince a prison doctor that he had cancer, and that he was only going to live a certain amount of months. So back then, if they knew you were terminal, they said, well, go die at home. We don't want to deal with you. Go die with your family.
Oh, wow.
The guy lived another 15 years. After that, they don't let you out for nothing.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
So he got one up on him.
Right. That's why John Gotti, when he was in there, and he had cancer, and he just said, he said this guy's name, and he goes, "You screwed me."
Oh,
He
Damn.
finally died of cancer 15 years later.
why don't we touch on that a little bit? You said organized crime and
Yeah.
the mob and all these things.
Well, they're out there, and let me tell you, less and less now, but they get in trouble. They're into extortion. They're into very smart people, most of them. And there's some sad cases. Look, it's a horrible life. It's a horrible life for people that are in it, for their families. Beyond reproach, it's really bad. And one guy that really talks about that, if you ever want to see him, his name is Michael Francis. Hello, Michael. I appreciate all the work you do. Believe me, I watch you all the time. He tells it the way it is. He was actually in the Colombo crime family, and he did 10 years. And smart guy, originally wanted to be a doctor, but his father was a May guy. He was a captain. He was a big guy. He was an underboss, I believe. And he went into the life. He went into the life after his father got, I think he got like 50 years, but his father did all 50 years. He was the oldest prisoner to get out. He was 102. And then he died at 103, 104.
Holy cow.
God bless him. And he was, an old-fashioned type mob guy, but Michael could, he talks about this, and he's truly rehabilitated now. He tries to help people. He's a fellow Christian. He's a great guy. He talks about it, but, the dynamic between the family, the father, the son, is unbelievable. I can tell you one story where a guy, he got 10 years for racketeering, and he was like my age, but he went in the 90s, like very early 90s, and he did 10 years. And his father was a pure sociopath. He was a pistolero. If he was here, though, he'd be making you laugh. You'd love being with him. His father.
Yeah.
We'll love it. The kid's funny, too, but here's the deal. He's the type of guy, the father, that would be 10 steps ahead of everybody. He could run a corporation like there's no tomorrow, but he decided to go into organized crime. He had buildings, he had golf courses, townhouses. He was the type of guy that he would get so much money, either running drugs or numbers or whatever he was into, and rackets, taking over businesses that can't pay. He'd have townhouses with a golf course, and they'd all be for all his buddies that got a divorce, right?
Okay.
Or just wanted to have their girlfriends, their gumads right there.
Yeah.
And he'd be playing, come on! He'd be ready with the golf club, trying to swing and all that. And somebody'd say, hey, the shower doesn't work. And he'd miss the ball. And he'd go right up to him, you motherfucker. He'd beat the living piss out of him with the golf club.
Shit.
Come back, right, real calm and say, you know what a mulligan is? That means he gets a do-over. That's a mulligan. All right, that's a mulligan.
That's pure sociopath.
That
right?
is.
Correct. So what
Holy
happened?
shit.
You see that shit in the movies.
So he didn't trust many people.
real life.
The only person he really trusted is only one of his sons. And what happened was he got him to work in the life, even though he was being raised by his grandparents. His grandparents warned him, never go near this kid. Don't go near him. Don't go near your own father.
Yeah.
The grandparents were the salt of the earth. And what happened was he did, and he worked with him, and he got arrested. And what happened was the father took over the case, got him the best lawyer money could buy, except that he paid the lawyer back then an extra $200,000-300,000 to throw the case.
Damn. His own son.
Yeah, and he did. He threw the case. He got convicted. He threw the case. The lawyer never showed up.
Did this lawyer then get convicted?
No, for what? How could you prove it?
Bribery.
No bribery. That was his fee.
Holy.
So what happened was the kid gets out and he's telling me all this, and I go, wait a minute. Wait. His third stringer showed up in court?
Yeah.
And, he was telling me about his father. I said, your father set that up. He set that whole thing up. And he's thinking, he goes, no. And then, he's thinking, he goes, motherfucker. And he starts pounding my teeth. He gets up. He's flipping the hell out. He goes, you're right. He did. That's what he did. That's what he does.
And you told him this after he was in jail?
Yeah.
You figured
The
that
10
out?
years.
After the 10 years.
Yeah, of course after the 10 years. But the thing is, and then he would try to appeal it. You can't appeal shit. That don't even. His father would say, I got a lawyer. We're going to appeal it. And it's not going nowhere.
Huh.
And that's what kept the kid going. But his father, on his 6th year that the kid was in jail, his father died. Died of a massive heart attack at like 66 years old.
Wow.
You know?
It's karma.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a funny guy, his father.
Wow.
But look, he's the type of guy that if you go into a bar with him, things could be lively and nice. You say the wrong thing, you might not get out.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
There's so many stories with that.
Mm-hmm.
That is ridiculous case. I can't believe. Yeah, we're back. So the organizer, so he sets up. You were speaking about how this crime boss set up his son by paying the lawyer not to show up to the case and bring it into the third.
Well, you know what it
lawyer.
is. I mean, probably paid him extra cash.
Yeah.
To send in his third stringer.
That's ridiculous.
That way, the son would let his guard down. Why? You got to ask yourself why. What was that happening? Because the FBI was crawling all over the son to take everybody down. He was facing a lot of time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So what he did was brilliant. In other words, keep his hope up. We could beat this. Get him the best lawyer money can buy, but then telling the lawyer, screw it.
So that's how much power this guy had.
Yeah, he had a lot of power.
Do you think money buys power?
The ability to kill somebody and money buys power.
The ability to kill somebody.
Yeah. Like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched.
Punch in the face?
Well, this guy will shoot you.
Yeah.
Or he'll have somebody else shoot you.
No, he'll do it.
But he's going to get caught.
He doesn't care.
So he might be borderline both. Can you be socio and psychopathic?
Sure.
Oh, so this guy's probably both.
Yeah, that one guy that I told you that they're going to make a movie on, the name of it is Gemini Lounge. It's about a crew that was in Brooklyn. And I guess I could talk about it. I don't know Roy DeMeo, but Roy DeMeo and his crew were sociopathic. I mean, they would chop people up there. They were, horrible things. They were both psychopathic and sociopathic. Even the bosses didn't kind of want them around.
Oh, really?
The other guy that was a big mouth was the what was his name? He'll come to me, but they used him as a hitman. The Iceman. The Iceman. The Iceman. Have you ever heard the Iceman? Yeah, he was in Trenton State and he died there.
I feel like I've heard this.
Yeah, but the mob bosses would give him hits to do, but they didn't quite like the way the savagery he used and all that. So,
what do you? So I know you touched upon it in the beginning when you said how genetics plays a part.
yes.
What is going on in the mind that makes somebody sociopathic to the point? Do you think though there's a point where they're in the beginning, if they're going into organized crime, let's say, do you think at first they are scared shitless, so to speak, for lack of a better term, and they're really nervous, and then as they kill more, it just becomes does it change the mind? What's going on in their mind to get to that point?
I think that just because you're sociopathic or narcissistic, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll be a criminal.
Oh.
It necessarily means that you might make a very good CEO boss.
Okay.
You might be most of our presidents have probably been narcissistic and sociopathic. You kind of want them to be that.
What would you say the definition of sociopathic is?
It's just no conscience, no bearing on whether whatever you do, how it hurts somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think they play hand in hand? Are all narcissists sociopaths, all sociopaths narcissists, or no? How you said.
Yeah, sure.
Play
Yeah,
hand in hand.
they play hand in hand.
And then narcissist is having extreme love for yourself or something? Thinking you're amazing?
Not caring about how or not even being aware of how your behavior might affect another person.
Oh, okay.
So you call your 12-year-old daughter, you're getting fat, you're doing this, and just put them down. You have no concept of, and you continually do it. You don't care.
And you said most of our presidents probably were
Probably, yeah, when you'd want them to be. Yeah.
And why would you want them to be?
Okay, so you got to take a look at Kim Jong-un.
Mm-hmm.
You know who that is, right?
Yeah.
Premier of North Korea.
Korea.
I think a lot of people were afraid of him. They sidestepped him, and I was just thinking of how Donald Trump just walked into North Korea without his security, without the Secret Service. And he showed him man, I mean business.
Yeah.
I'll walk right in here.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of guts, a lot
Yeah.
of balls to do that.
Yeah.
And guess what? He earned his respect. So if you're going to hide behind things, you're not going to. It's a game among leaders, you know. As a matter of fact, our version of the CIA during World War II did a psychological profile on all leaders, including Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. And they did such a good job on Hitler, they predicted his suicide. Although I have my doubts whether he committed suicide or not.
Oh shit, so do I.
Yeah, Siv.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know a lot about that.
Did-
I don't want to get into that.
did-
We'll
did-
get that
well-
another time.
Okay, well, if you don't want, but didn't
Oh,
they?
I could if you want me to.
Well, didn't they go look at the autopsy and the skeleton
Oh my God.
was of a woman, right?
You don't know. You're not getting. First of all, here we go with the Russians again. They're the ones that first found it. You don't know what happened.
Okay.
More than likely, what I read and knew about Hitler and his profiles, his biographies, more than likely he would escape the country and probably go down to Argentina.
Hmm.
Or Bariloche.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
That's right. No, not close to Antarctica, Patagonia, right? And we know that Dr. Mengele was down there for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Dr. Mengele?
He was the head of Auschwitz. He was the
Okay.
perpetrator of death. So
He was he would experiment, right, and do
twin experiments.
Holy crap.
It
Well,
was-
I should actually no, I should probably not say experiment because he definitely wasn't. He was murdering and killing people.
Well, he was experimenting. He was experimenting, and really, I know people don't want to hear this, but there's quite a knowledge that came out of his experiments because he had no ethics. He knew that he treated humans like animal subjects, and you could bypass animal trials and go right to humans.
Yeah,
He was a butcher. I mean, he was just.
So is there just something missing in a person's brain like
Well,
that?
the first thing that you got to
To not
remember,
feel-
you got to remember that the German people, or particularly the SS, had to actually say Jews, gypsies, gays as non-humans. They treated them as non-humans. They'd have no problem taking a kid that's an infant and just throwing him into a fire pit. They could care less.
Holy shit.
that's fucking horrible.
Well, the regular Wehrmacht hated that. The regular German army, they were
Yeah.
against that. And even some of the hardened SS men couldn't just shoot people.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to use Zyklon Z to gas the Jews and gypsies and anybody.
Oh, wait a second. So the gas chambers, I thought were always a way to speed up the processes because they couldn't get enough people to
It was a
actually get
way
along?
to speed up the process, but it was. You want to talk about psychological manipulation? So when
Let's get into
let's
that,
just
yeah.
say in the train stop in Auschwitz, right? And there's a good book written by P.J. Lipton called "The Nazi Doctors" for you guys to in your audience if you want to really know about this. But just to take a look at this example. So when they wanted control, okay, because if say the Jews rioted in Auschwitz, the Nazis would have a definite problem containing it. A definite problem.
Yeah.
So what happens is, let's just say they wanted to march you to the gas chamber. So what would happen is, so say the train stops, and then they would put glass down on the ground. And as everybody was getting out, they go, don't step on that. Please be careful. The glass is here. Please, just be careful. So then that would calm people down. People would say, well, they're not going to kill us. They're worried that if they were going to kill us, what do they give a shit
Holy
about whether we
shit.
step on the glass or not? And they would have it scattered and word would get around, group think, right? So they believed that. And then what would happen is, and they would march down the line, and there would be a person there, usually Mengele or one of his cohorts, that would do left, right. You know, if you went left, that's usually the gas chambers. That was any child under 16 would definitely be gassed. Anybody that was over 42 would be gone, and he'd keep the healthiest people for workers. And they would control it by not feeding them adequately and everything else.
Holy shit!
So there was a lot of psychological things.
Oh, it was all psychological. Let me give you a psychological at present time. Okay. So if you wanted to get people to take the vaccine, for example, you wanted 100% compliance, what you do is you say that, it has great efficacy. Just in the beginning, when they developed the vaccine. By the way, I was one of the first that got it, healthcare workers, and anyway. But here's the thing. So back then, people were rushing to get it, and they would tell you, "Oh, Joe, there's not enough. You got to sign up for it. You got to do this for it. You got to But there's not enough, but it works. It's got
Yeah.
80% efficacy. Everybody was lined up to get it. They were pissed that they couldn't get it. Now, I was working out great. It's when you introduced mandates that people said, fuck you.
Yep.
So you think they overplayed their hand?
Yep.
They overplayed their hand. And when they went to
100
kids,
fucking
and then when they
1000%.
went to kids to get it under 5, and you have to wear masks all the time, and you fuck with somebody's kids.
Oh fuck! You never fuck with somebody's kids. I don't
Exactly.
even have kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think there's like the fear of missing out for a lot of people? Like,
It's
the whole neighborhood got it. It's like,
it's
oh,
like,
what?
it's
Group
fe-
think.
It's great. It's the fear of not getting it to
Yeah.
protect yourself. So they stopped that, and instead that we got enough, but it's
You
a
know-
mandate. Now you have to get it.
Yeah.
You have to get it.
You know what I think they still use this, and the more I look at things, I think they've done this for a long time, is they play on people's morals. They make you believe, well, you're not a good person if you don't get this.
Well, and
So
you
if
take
you
sides.
really think you're a good person, you're going to get this.
Right, and you take sides.
100%.
Because now you have to take sides. You know, if you come up now, it's with the Ukraine. If you say anything to try to better understand what's going on,
Yeah.
you're no good. You know, we got to.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Got to
Of,
start World War III. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, I don't think we will.
no, well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. I think.
I mean,
don't
by
think we should
accident,
freaking-
maybe you could just.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I pressed the
but-
button. Shit.
Yeah.
Wait, I wasn't supposed to press
Press
that?
that button? No, that was launch.
I
you
thought I was
motherfucker.
calling my butler.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, your butler is not named Launch. Fuck. No, but I was thinking the same thing when you were speaking about Ted Kaczynski, right? Ted
Kaczynski.
Think about it. So you said that he actually predicted all the stuff that's going on right
Yes.
now. But now look how they do it with this trickery. Now if you say, well, holy shit, look at this guy. He just predicted everything. Maybe there's something to it. People automatically go, oh, so now you're supporting a murderer? Now are you a murderer? Like they try to link you to
Yeah,
that.
and that's ridiculous. Just because you support somebody's ideology and not support the murders that he did,
Yeah.
but he had some ideology. Like Hitler was a great painter. He
Yeah.
was. Some of his paintings are great. You can look them up on the internet.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean I support Hitler. It
Exactly.
doesn't mean I support Kaczynski. But Kaczynski, if you read his manifesto, he was right almost about 90% of what's happening.
Jesus
And the
Christ.
guy was a genius.
Well, Hitler was a genius.
Yes, I mean that's debatable
I mean,
whether he was, but
he-
I mean I could tell you about his story. I mean, yeah, yes, he was. If he riled the country up, you know.
I think just how he
Stalin
got
was a real murderer.
Yeah. Oh, no. The Gulag Archipelago? That was ridiculous.
horrible,
Horrible
evil people.
At least
but-
Hitler was nice to his own people. I mean,
Yeah.
nice in the sense
Yeah.
they got slaughtered too, but just in a different they got slaughtered by other armies, not by their own doing.
Yeah.
And I've known people that lived in the Soviet Union, and their opinion is right now that the way this country's going is that we're more inclined to be living like the Soviet Union right now
Agreed.
and not even know it.
Agreed.
I
And
think
not
so.
even know it, yeah.
Agreed.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary, yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say? What were you going to say? You were going to touch upon something?
No, I was just gonna say how like people Hitler's obviously this really horrible, evil person. I'm not let's emphasize.
Yeah, let's
or
get
whatever.
that off the
Get
Yeah,
that
no,
off, get that off
absolutely,
the table.
for sure.
Before you
yeah.
get
But-
anything out, he's awful.
But
You know
yeah,
that Ted Kaczynski's awful, by the way, but their ideas,
and
That's a
how they
different
got so many people to
That's
go
right.
along with them.
that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Millions of people.
So
Hitler
you-
got to follow them hook and sinker
Yeah.
Well,
to do horrible things.
Well, that's right. But here's the thing you got to remember that the genesis of Hitler was the Versailles Treaty after World War I. So the Versailles Treaty basically,
Destroyed
Germany was relegated to hyperinflation. You
Mhm.
needed 2 wheelbarrows full of Deutschmarks to buy 1 loaf of bread.
Yep.
So the populace was ready for change.
Yeah.
And initially, Hitler, well, he was Times Man of the Year. He turned Germany around by nationalism, by making everything in the
Yeah.
country and being self-sufficient. The only thing he didn't have, I think he would have probably conquered the world, was his own oil. And Germany still has that problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah. Now
shit.
they're screwed with Russia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
but if he conquered Russia, he would have won.
Wow.
Because he would have got the natural resources.
Yep.
He would have got the oil.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was close to the atomic bomb and he would have used it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He
Now,
was-
you know, and you know, the Soviet policy, and maybe the Russian policy, guys, I don't know, but the Soviet policy with war, and I've talked to many people that live there, they're underground. Most of the people, communists, like you to live in cities. They're easier to control. They don't like you to live out in the suburbs. They don't want you to have your own ability to grow and be self-sufficient. But they have underground tunnels in their subways, and they think that a nuclear war is winnable. Well, we don't.
fucking
We are mutually assured destruction. We have no plans for anything for our civilians. In
Yeah,
other
you're right.
words, if we get nuked, you're fucked.
You're fucked. Yeah.
Fucked.
Where they think it's winnable. They got food supplies. They got medicine.
So they're
underground.
prepared for it.
Yes,
In
that's
Russia.
and that's the scary part. Yeah, because they think it's winnable, and that's been the case for a long time. And that's a lot of my Russian friends that lived in the former Soviet Union. That are brilliant people, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, brilliant people. You know, they went to great universities. So,
Holy cow.
So were they living in the Soviet Union like in the times of Stalin?
not times of
Okay.
Stalin, but in times of Brezhnev,
Okay.
and times of Chernenko, and times of Andropov, and of course Gorbachev was the one that kind of.
Cold War,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Cold War
he
time.
ended the Cold War. Yeah, Gorbachev.
Okay.
I remember reading that book, The Gulag Archipelago. They were talking about how when you would be in the streets, or if you were talking with your friends and you said something that was against Stalin, like next thing you knew, secret police coming up.
One
and
out of
getting
three
arrested.
people in the community, including your families, were all government rats.
Yeah.
One out of three.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you were afraid to say anything.
Yeah.
And I would meet this guy's parents, and they were very close-mouthed. They didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
They wouldn't say anything. They were talking generalities.
Well, how about
Holy shit.
now? I mean, this isn't as extreme, but you say anything against the narrative, you're
Yeah, it's not as extreme.
Facts. We better hope it never gets to that point. I
think
think
that's
we're
what-
in
that's
charge.
what- that's what they want.
I think we, the people, are in charge of us not getting
I
into
think
that
we
point.
got to promote free speech, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. I
Yeah.
mean, one of the things I want to do. That's why I'm glad I'm doing this here. Is just to pass my knowledge to the younger generation, and hopefully, give them a hand and not go through a lot of the snafus that I had to go through. But I don't feel that we have free speech right now. I think if I went to college, I would not be allowed to give an opposing point of view.
Yeah.
seems that way.
And don't you
No,
think
it is that way.
It is that way.
It is that way.
Don't you think it's absurd? Like here we go. Let's just say Don and I are having a debate, and I go, Don, the sky is green. I think the sky is green. It's not blue. If you think that I'm wrong, you should be like, whoa, hold up, Joe. This is the reason why it's blue, not green. You shouldn't censor me. How ludicrous I sound.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Why should you be censored?
Exactly. Like you actually give me okay, the sky isn't green, but that was just a really basic term. But let's just say with the vaccines, people are getting censored. Doctors are getting censored, right?
Absolutely.
That actually, for me, when I look at that, I go, oh, okay, this doctor, what he's saying might be more valid, or he has validity.
Absolutely.
If you're being
With
censored,
some of the medications that they use
Yeah.
early on, I knew one of the doctors that was promoting hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
That guy was a hero in my book because he treated a lot of the AIDS patients that I had,
Yeah.
and he was on TV.
Yeah.
Great guy.
And
Yeah.
then what makes him all of a sudden? Oh no, he's an
He's a
idiot. He
quack.
doesn't know what he's talking
Quack,
about.
yeah.
Right.
If you think he's wrong, you should be able to give your point and express your opinion and maybe back that up with your own facts, and let's have a debate.
And if you're that sick, you ever hear the expression, I'll piss on a spark plug. I'll try anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
What the fucking care?
Yeah.
I just don't like that we're not allowed, or they don't want us to be allowed to ask questions. When did asking a question become a crime?
Yeah, when they knew that
Being skeptical.
when they want to control you, they want you to shut up. It's the same thing. I
You
think.
can't go against the narrative. That's what it is. And you saw what happened in I believe it was Yale University, where there was a person, a professor, a guest lecturer
Okay.
that was giving her opinions, and there were students protesting, and they just railroaded her right out. It was wrong when it was done in the past. It was done to African Americans in the past. It was because my professor that was my chairman for my dissertation was African American, and he turned me on to some studies that had been done in Tuskegee and traditionally black colleges. And I said, wow, I never saw this research. And he goes, and you wouldn't.
Yeah,
Because
I
he's a
believe
lot
it.
older than me.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't. I got these for you because I still think you can use them.
Shit.
So they were being censored. You see
Censored.
what I'm saying? And
So it's
that's
been
wrong.
going on for a long time.
Oh yeah.
You're right, depending on who you are. Certainly blacks have gotten the short end of the stick. But now it's being everybody that if you don't fit that narrative. So you're pretty
Yeah.
narrow-minded in a sense, because if you can't have a debate and share ideas, what's college for then?
Yeah.
It's nothing really.
Right.
Yeah.
From a psychologist's point of view, what makes the students? So this guest speaker comes up in Yale. So the students have been fed all this propaganda. But
they get violent. They get protest. Yeah.
From a psychologist's point of view, what is going on in their body that's making them violent? What do they think? Where's this hatred coming from?
Outrage.
Well, they could get away with it. And if they've been wound up, they've taken a side. They've been told they can get away with it.
Yep.
I mean, people burned down buildings and they got away with it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, those were peaceful protests going on.
Correct. So what happens is, if you could get away with it, and that's the narrative, and the school's not going to do nothing, and the cops aren't going to do nothing, and even if what would let me give you an example. What would happen if Mel Gibson went up and slapped Chris Rock?
Oh, hate crime. Ridiculous.
Exactly.
It would be ridiculous.
White on black, you're saying?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, why should it be? And it pisses me off because where I grew up in Irvington, I grew up with a lot of African Americans, and it was mostly black on black crime.
Yeah.
And the blacks could be victims of crimes too. It's Chris Rock was. So why should that be allowed?
Yeah.
But you asked me a question. How does it get to that? If they're allowed to do what they want with no punishment or repercussions, they're going to do whatever they want. So if they could go up to somebody that's wearing a certain t-shirt that they don't like, or maybe has a point of view, and flatten their tires, intimidate them, spit on them, yeah, they'll do it. They didn't do it to people, the politicians. They didn't do it to other politicians. I mean, we went through a lot of turbulent times. This wasn't the first time. I mean, 1968 was a very turbulent time.
That was with Robert Kennedy, right?
Robert Kennedy got assassinated, Martin Luther King, then you had Malcolm X, then you had John F. Kennedy. It began it. So this is human beings. So let's get into something more basic, that human beings are very simple to understand. You have two drives. You have two instincts. You have eros and thanatos. That's what Freud said. Eros is the love instinct and you procreate. That's one instinct. But thanatos is the violent side. You have an ability and an instinct to survive. And you're very capable of killing. That's why Homo sapiens beat out the Neanderthals. We could kill more effectively.
Yeah.
And think of it, we have not changed. Our ability to kill and our territoriality for resources and food and everything else is still there. We've just gotten better at killing. So instead of using rocks, we could use nuclear weapons now. Think about that.
Shit. Isn't that also due to the fact that we have a neocortex and that's been developed, so we don't rely more on the limbic brain system anymore, which is more survival instinct?
Well, you're still a survival instinct. For example, watch what happens if, God forbid, there's not enough food and enough resources. Your docile neighbors will be, if you have enough, no, fuck you, I'm going to take you out because I got to feed my family.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a cooperative where you say, okay, I got one piece of bread, we'll divide it with 10,
Well, look at when we were running out of gas during like Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah, people.
Well,
that's the only thing I can think of in my life.
I've seen right, and that what reminded me of the gas lines we had in 1973 and then 1979. I mean, on the news there was people. I was a kid back then, but I mean, people were getting murdered online to get gas. Murdered. You can look it up if you Google it. Say murders while waiting in gas lines 1979. You'll see.
Well, I guess because now you're encroaching someone's life, their way of life, their
People start to
survival,
lose it, man.
their family.
People lose it. Their impulse control goes down to nothing.
It's living in survival mode.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I'll go back to Will Smith. In a way, I could understand how he got out of hand. He lost it. The man lost it. Should he have done what he did? No. But my mother always said that one split second of something wrong could give you a lifetime of misery. Okay?
Yeah,
so he lost it in that split second.
Yeah.
I can understand it. Do I condone it? No. Do I think he should be forgiven? Of course he should. And, of course he should. And you move on with it.
Well, because what's the
the alternative? It could have been anybody else would have been arrested, dude. I'm telling you right now.
Well, what I was going to get into was the whole cancel culture.
Yeah.
What's up with that? The whole I'm going to cancel you because you came out and said the wrong thing.
Yeah, or wrong, or something you said something I don't like.
Every time you cancel somebody, you're taking away that person's ability to teach you something. You can cancel them all you want.
Yeah.
But you're actually losing out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's at some point it's gonna get to the point. It's like they eat their own. So example, let's just say you have a group of 20 people and you start to cancel one person out. Then another person has a different view. You cancel them out. Then you're left with 5 people with the same point of view. It's so they eat each other out. They'll start to find things.
Yeah. Look at for example, look at Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Okay, so now they're starting to eat him up.
Yeah.
But it's wrong. You shouldn't be eating anybody up.
No, you shouldn't.
it's
You
wrong.
shouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
He's
always-
got free speech, and I'll listen to it. I mean, look, do I agree with everything? Of course not. But could I learn from it? And here's what I learned: most of us are in that gray area. I don't care how liberal we are or how conservative we are. We're in that gray area.
I believe that.
Yeah, in America, what we need is a lot of deregulation. We're rugged individuals. We're better when we're left alone. We don't do well when we're regulated. Yeah.
You
Within reason. Within reason.
Yeah. Let yourself be able to you control your own family. You decide what's best for you, and if you do it correctly, the results will show. If you don't, survival of the fittest almost. You know what I mean? Not to say that to cast out others, but what I'm just trying to say is when we're left to our own devices and left to regulate ourselves, we sort of bring out the best in ourselves.
No system is perfect, but at least here in the United States, for now, you could start your own business. You could be an entrepreneur. And if that's not for you, you could work for people, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all got to answer to somebody,
Yeah.
so that's what happens.
I think it's just, you think the system is completely broken?
Now,
Yeah.
I think I think nations are jockeying for position. I think I think that the U.S. dollar is the trade dollar. If that ever goes kaput, we're going to have big problems because the U.S. dollar is the petrodollar. So if the Chinese yuan or other denominations start trading with that, it's not good. And there's a reason why we're the denomination of choice is because we got the military and the guns to protect people's assets.
Well, I'll tell you, it's scary because I don't feel as though we have leaders that have America's back right now.
Right. Well, they have them. They in their own mind, they're trying to change. I think our system in many ways, but I think that they have no understanding of economics or sociology as to what the repercussions are going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew when we got locked down for COVID. My whole thing was, look, it has. Young people had way less than a 1% death rate. So you protect the old, but what do we do instead? We put sick people in a nursing home and we clocked out the nursing home.
Yeah, right? It's
With
counterproductive.
no repercussion.
No accountability.
No accountability.
No accountability. So I would say for the young people, go out, live your lives, take some precautions.
Yeah.
But, I ask you guys are smart guys. I mean, why can't you keep a small grocery store open? And why do you all have to pack into ShopRite or Costco? Why do we have to close people's
exactly.
That
business?
makes no
So
fucking
you're
sense.
destroying small business.
They want I
It's very obvious to me.
I'm of the opinion that they want you to destroy small business because they're in cahoots with these big mega corporations. They're profiting off each other, and they want us to rely on them.
Right. And it made my decisions to get out of my government work because by the time COVID hit, now you got very kind of dangerous people. And then what am I going to use? Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I didn't want that.
Fuck that.
But then again, I couldn't see him in person. I wasn't allowed. So that's why I said sayonara, because I could make a mistake real easy.
Well, yeah, and especially think about
You could be shooting heroin and doing...
Right?
You could be killing somebody.
exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it right now. We are in the same we're in the same room.
Right.
And how in this discussion we're like you said, you spoke about it. You're a big energy, you're a big empath, right?
That's right.
And you go off the vibes. You wouldn't be able to really go off our vibes as much over if we did this.
I can't do it.
Yeah, video or or
when
online.
you say vibes, it just ends right there. When it's just on video, it ends. Now, could I size somebody's personality? Sure, but not their vibes.
Not their vibes.
No.
So if you touched upon this a little bit, how you're really good at being able to determine through your experience who's lying, who maybe committed crime, or who if someone's a good person. We live in an age, right? We touched upon this where we don't know what the hell is true. Can you give our audience and us as well, really maybe some tips on how we can distinguish from ourselves what's going beyond looking? Like if someone says that A is going on but B is going on, we know that B is going on.
So do you mean like if you meet somebody, for example, if you're doing a business deal, or do you mean propaganda? Do you mean like what you might watch on TV?
I meant propaganda, but let's start with the basics. Let's start with if you're meeting somebody.
Okay, so if you're meeting somebody, and this is what I tell people in relationships, you don't know who the hell they are.
Okay.
You're meeting them online, you don't know who the hell they are. You meet them in a bar, whatever, restaurant, you don't know who they are. So you start off with zero trust and build your trust going forward.
Okay.
What a lot of people do is they start off, oh, he's such a nice person. They start off with 100% trust, and then they whittle away their trust till they get to 0. But the problem with that, guys, is if you whittle your way down your trust to get to 0, you've been fucked.
Yeah, I'm
You're
guilty
done.
of this.
Yeah. So if you start with your trust with 0 and build it up by the other person's actions in your relationship, you're going to put yourself in a much better situation. So for you guys in your audience, I recommend that. That's a basic principle.
Okay. So trust no one until they earn it.
Yeah, or by their actions. Are they on time? Are they this? Are they that? You know, like, and then you're just like, well, okay, so maybe I went up to like 10% now. Right?
Yeah.
Don't start at 100. After the first date, you're down to 40, 50%.
Yeah.
By that time, you should be excusing yourself going to the toilet, going out the window.
Yeah, see you later.
Like I did with one of my dates. She's still there waiting for me. That was in 1980.
Yeah. She's getting tired. Man, is he coming back?
Yeah, he's coming back.
Jeez, the bread's getting cold.
Hey, I'm getting pretty old here.
Man, I
That's
think you
funny.
should leave.
Oh, man.
And now on a more global scale, you're absolutely right. How do you know what you're watching on Fox or CNN or any of the legacy media is true? You don't. And here's what you should do. You should look for content creators like you guys so you could get a more fair and balanced, and I'm sure you welcome people here of any type to debate, to present things, and that's how you get more information. That's how I do it.
Okay.
I agree.
So
Yeah, okay.
Because they're less biased.
less biased. I like the way like a guy like Joe Rogan, he'll ask questions that are look at both sides, and he's always willing to learn and look at everything.
Yeah, Rogan's the pinnacle. Rogan does an amazing
He does.
job.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's very good.
At dictating in conversation, not dictating or
No,
facilitating.
Facilitating. Yeah, because
facilitating.
he wants to hear what both sides are. You know? And he's taken both sides, and he got canceled. What's the right word?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I don't think a lot of him and Dave Chappelle.
I think they tried, but he's
like,
He
nah.
didn't get canceled.
He
but
said
they
he's
think-
sorry.
What they tried to?
Yeah.
You know what? It's so ridiculous. I don't even remember. Well, I don't know what did he say? Did he take certain medications when he had COVID?
He took the basket. He took like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine.
So what's wrong with that?
Who's this?
That's his body.
Joe Rogan.
Joe
Yeah.
Rogan. Well, the whole thing with Joe Rogan was because he said the N word, and there was a compilation of him saying the N word.
Which
How
no
long
one
ago?
gave up.
They took it out of context.
Yeah. Oh,
Was he
It's from
doing a
years
comedy
ago.
show? Because he's a comedian.
I think it was from podcast shows.
He might have said it.
But I
It
don't
was
even
like,
think he was like
it was
insulting.
over the years, and he was just saying it in conversation, not like
calling
like,
somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's crazy about that is whether you say, oh, he shouldn't say it or whatever, be pissed off at the time he said it. Don't wait until he's exposing a narrative and now you're like, oh, we got to push back against them.
Like, I got to be honest with you. Like, what people say in their private conversations, that's there. I mean, look, you don't think people talk about me behind my back or they call me names. It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I actually had a really, really great discussion at the bar when I was serving a guest. He said, it's none of my business what other people think about me.
It's
That's
true.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care.
It's true. Your opinion is none of my business.
You could think of that. You know, it's a disgusting word. Of course, you shouldn't use it.
Sure.
But there's other people that had their turn getting whipped up too. You know,
Yeah.
getting called names and being mistreated. The Irish, everybody.
Yeah, everyone.
Agree here. Now, with African Americans, though, they can't change their skin color. So that's the thing. So, but then again, I think now it's good. I think people have some good opportunities. We shouldn't ruin it. We should all be inclusive. We should all try to learn from each other.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
Yeah, because you know what? We all want to do well. We all want to do well.
Isn't that the end of the game? We just want to live our lives.
We want to do well. We want to do well. I like to see people work. I like to see Americans work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of pivot a little bit. You said earlier in the show who the smartest person you think.
Oh, yeah.
is.
This is a good
ever
question.
met?
Shit.
Who is the smartest person you've ever met? Is it you've ever met, or is it that you can think of?
Actually, that I ever met.
Okay.
He was a computer hacker.
No, these
Okay.
guys.
So who's the computer whizzes?
Don't they usually get arrested and then offered a contract job with the government?
Well,
Sometimes.
well,
Maybe not this guy.
Well, that's exactly what could have happened, but
Okay.
he didn't want it, and now he lives out of the country. He actually was one of the only people that ever kind of beat his case.
Holy shit.
Who's this? Edward Snowden?
No, it wasn't Edward. No, Edward Snowden looks.
I'm not gonna lie. That's what came to mind.
I was
when
like,
when
no,
said
he
that.
beat Snowden?
Edward Snowden is not as bright as this guy.
No.
Nowhere near.
Wow.
I mean, Snowden, he paints to be pretty smart. This guy.
No, this guy. Not only is he funny, he could put Snowden.
Holy crap!
Yeah, he's the shame.
I guess Snowden's the mainstream guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is the guy that nobody knows.
Yeah, I mean, he actually, when I was interviewing him, I mean, he said, "Yeah, I really like you." And this was back in, I think, 2009, 2010. He goes, "There's something called Bitcoin that's going to be coming out soon. You should
Get
buy
out of
it."
here!
the
No
fuck?
way.
I swear to God. And I said, "Aren't you in enough fucking problems already? What are you telling me to buy this computer shit for? Aren't you in enough problems?" And he just laughed his ass off at me.
Hold on, can you repeat that again? 2009.
So he knew it was coming.
Folks, 2009,
Right.
Bitcoin didn't even take off till 2015.
Yeah,
Or-
but it was in its infancy.
Yeah.
And he told me about it because he liked me. He gave me insider trading computer shit, whatever.
The shit, nothing ever just comes to fruition. It's all planned. Is that true?
It's absolutely true.
Holy shit.
Dude, what?
You should have taken his advice.
I'm a dumb fuck. How did I
You'd be like a quadruple billionaire.
Yeah, right? No, you're definitely not a dumb fuck, but
Yes,
that's
I am.
Gus,
In this
put
case,
a
I'm a big dumb fuck.
$100 into this. I
Yeah,
promise you.
He laughed at me.
I wonder, he's probably put money into it. He's probably living large.
He wasn't about money. So he was what we call like a gray hat hacker. So he wasn't about money. He could have easily manipulated the market after he hacked companies. But he was more of a comedian. He would just do it and point out some of these security breaches that
Holy
they had.
shit.
Almost like, yeah, you guys suck. Look, I already just got wow.
So I bet you he was laughing because he knew how confident he was in his ability and what he
was
knew.
Smart.
How do you even get to that level?
He's a high school dropout.
It's always these guys. It's always these
Got out in
guys.
10th grade.
The road
Holy
guys.
shit.
It's always them. Oh, that's great.
And, I think what makes him smart is he could think about thinking and inclusive and think out of the box. I mean, he was very knowledgeable about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So where does that come from, though? Like, from your psychology background, like Albert Einstein, he was a genius. This guy was clearly a genius.
Albert Einstein was a genius. This guy was a genius, but they're both dummies in certain things, and they're geniuses in others. So anybody can learn from anybody. Just remember that. Because there's certain things, as smart as you think you are, there's something I could do better that I could teach you. So I think everybody's smart in their own way.
Yeah.
And dumb in their own way.
Yeah.
But what really makes somebody a genius in their own regard? Like that gift that somebody has. Is it a God-given thing?
Yes, it's genetic. So how we define genius is a person that could ability to do math and physics and all that. But genius could be. There was one guy that was he was a member of a gang, and he did time for drugs. But this guy was a business genius, and he came out. I said, "Look, man, tell me a little bit about the drug business." I said, "Do you have to take chances to sell?" He goes, "Of course." So I don't know if somebody's a cop. I don't know if somebody's a snitch. I always get caught. And I talked to him. I said, "Look, can't you put what you have into good use by starting your own business?" And he did. And right now he's a multi-millionaire.
Shit.
But the business he started was trucks, the whole stuff, dirt, everything. He started with one, and now he's got a fleet. And he still keeps in contact. Sometimes he comes back to talk to guys that are getting out of jail, tell them a little bit about themselves, and he never got in trouble. He had no need to. My whole job was to teach him how to take those skills and utilize them for something more positive.
Yeah.
And he did. He was able to do it.
I would say
Yeah.
he did.
The motivation, and there's 3 levels of smarts. You could be intellectually smart. However, you also need to be socially smart.
Sure, socially apt, you're saying something.
Right. It's not how to socialize, be able to read people. And the biggest one is to be street smart, to know if somebody's going to take you, or they're going to take you down. Yeah. So those are the 3 levels of smarts that I think are present.
Okay.
Street smarts are very important. Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Even in business, there's always going to be somebody that's going to, you got to ask questions.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just assume somebody's telling you the truth, or they might not know. So I always challenge people trying to sell me something. Right? Could you tell me how that works? Well, how does it work? How will that improve my life? What happens if this happens? And if they just give up on me, I know they're full of shit. But if they really come back and they explain things to me, hey, that's going to be a good thing.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. See, that was really good. I was actually thinking that too while you were saying that. Like, if they were to give up, that's how you know. Like, if they get frustrated, right?
Yeah. Well,
Interesting.
Car dealerships have a blast with me.
Oh my god!
Oh, you
Wait, I'm looking for a new car. We should go
Why you-
together.
Yeah. Just
We
like,
should go together and
That'd be my pleasure.
blow
What
the
kind of car do
socks
you
off of
want?
these guys. A Honda Civic, I'm looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right now, you got to look at the money factor, the lease deals they're giving. Yeah.
Walk
Okay,
out
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
No, I gotta do it.
They always
You wanna lease it,
they
right?
try to swindle me.
You want to lease it?
I don't know.
Buy it?
I don't know yet. I'm looking at a used one because
I got
cheaper.
used. I got mine with 30,000 miles.
I just
and
know
I'm
the
like,
Civics are so reliable.
They are. Mine is great.
They're good. They're great, and you got to just watch now with used cars because you got to have a $5,000 to $10,000 markup.
Yeah, true.
Oh, they are.
My advice: if you want to get a used one, look for one that a private seller is selling.
Oh,
Car
really?
Guru, something like that.com.
See, I
Or
always
an
wanted
old lady. I can't drive no more.
I always wanted to-
She's living back in the 70s.
Yeah.
She gives it to you for $500.
I look like that.
ladies, if you're listening, old ladies in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah,
I need
Don
a car.
needs a Honda Civic. Yeah, driving. No, actually, so a good thing about that, I watched a YouTube video because at the time I
There's
was
a
trying
good
to find a car.
station. I forgot the name of it. It's a father and son.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're wonderful on YouTube because I'm a car buff. I love cars, so I love the industry. So, yeah, they have a lot of good advice.
Okay.
They really do.
Well, because the car salesman, they always try to swindle you out.
They're going to try to make as much money as they can
Yeah,
out of
I mean, I
you.
guess you can't
So
blame them, but-
what you need to do is be educated in some of the principles that I told you. Just research them. Don't be
Yeah.
in a hurry. Say, okay, I'll get back to you. What sales does is the pressure that they give you. This deal is only good for today. It's the only deal you're going to get. It's the best deal in the world, and that's it. And if you don't buy it today, that's that. They put pressure on you.
Yeah.
If they take your keys or whatever, if you have a car to trade in, walk away.
Yeah.
If they, and research what the car's worth.
Yeah. My dad is good at this. I go with him a lot, and I actually saw him speak to the dealers because he'll know like the interest rate, all that.
The money
You know,
factor,
yeah.
the leasing, all that. Right.
Actually, one time I got.
They probably hate him.
Oh no! Well, they probably you see it in the eyes, but then in the end they're like asking him questions, and they see
So
that
they
he
can
knows
learn.
where they exactly. It's funny.
Well, the thing is, they're not laughing at him when he walks out of the dealership.
They're going with this motherfucker.
No, probably is saying if we had old customers like him, we wouldn't make as
You're
much
like, right? I decided. Sorry. When I was trying to sell my Nissan 370Z, which I missed so badly because I was moving to the city. So when I sold it,
Oh yeah, the Nissan. It's a nice car.
I love that car. I miss it so much.
Did you have a convertible?
No, I did not have a
The coupe.
convertible.
Yeah.
The coupe, yep. So when I was selling it, I went to a Nissan dealership and I bought it for, I think it was like a little over 20. Well, I didn't pay for that, I put money down, but it was worth around like 20. And then I knew I did a what's it called? Not a car, Kelly Blue Book for it.
Yeah.
And I should have gotten around 17, so I would have came with a loss. The Nissan dealer guy, he was trying to get me for 13 grand right, on this Nissan, and I did everything. So I decided to be an asshole. I was like, oh, why? So you could turn around and sell it for 17? And he had no, and he was like, yeah, no. And I was like, you son of a
You got
Well,
it.
bitch.
that's what they do.
got it.
Yeah.
They sell $5,000 to $10,000. I mean, if you know anybody that could get you in an auction, that would be good too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Auctions, you can make good. You saying you can get good cars for good money?
Sure.
The problem is
That's
now
what dealers buy.
Okay.
I went in to buy a new Honda Civic. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to deal with nothing. I'm going to get a brand new one. They're like 8 to 12 weeks out right now.
You can't get them.
We
because
can't
of the
get
chip
'em.
shortage.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at spending almost the same amount of money on a used car that's 4 years old
Ouch. Yeah.
than what I would spend on a brand new one. So I'm like, this is hard to do.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard. Yeah.
You get like an older car.
Yeah. But, with the private listing thing, you always want the warranty, though, I thought.
The Carfax, right?
Well,
Or
no,
like
the
a
Carfax
warranty
is-
so that everything is
You
covered.
could get an extended warranty.
Yeah.
If you get it from a private person.
That's
you can
true.
Buy your own warranty.
Yeah, that
That's true.
sucks. If you hit a lemon that has an engine problem,
Yeah,
you're fucked. Yeah.
Get it out and push.
That's funny.
I trusted him 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
started with 0.
Where was Gus? That I should have seen it.
Yeah.
But look, there's nothing foolproof. Somebody could be
Yeah.
really good. They could get you. You got to just do your homework and see what you want.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the salesman's worst nightmare.
I mean, I like salesmen. I
Yeah.
really do. I think the product that they sell, if it's their demeanor,
Yeah.
and you really like it, and I do my homework, and I understand that the dealership or who's ever selling it, a television, a car, whatever they're selling, they got to make money too. It's just that I want to get the best deal within reason.
Yeah.
And if it's a good place, it's a good dealership, and they have a good force there that they're going to be respectful, I'd rather pay a little bit more and go with them rather than somebody
Good to
that's
know.
rude. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like
But
your
right now, be prepared. It's not a good time to
No.
buy.
No.
It's like your friend. Oh God, his name is slipping me. Sorry, but he's a salesman, and he says the point of sales, if you want to be a successful salesman, is to help the customer.
Yeah,
Instead of
Joe,
trying to-
my friend Joe.
Yes, Joe.
Graham? Yeah.
Sorry about that, Joe. Joe Graham. He was saying he had a great post. He said the goal of sales is to help the client or your customer. If your goal is solely to make money, that's when you have an issue.
Yeah. So for your audience, that anybody wants to go into sales, the psychology of sales is very simple. You learn the customer's need and you fulfill it. If you can't fulfill it, you tell them you can't. Be honest with them.
Yeah.
Makes
Cool.
sense.
If you can fulfill it and make their life easy, then that's the way it is.
Honesty's best policy.
Yeah. So like say you want this car, and say, listen, this is what it was going for. This is what we're selling. If you can find it somewhere cheaper, get it.
Yeah.
But we think this is a fair price. Is it overpriced? Sure, but everything else is too.
Yep.
Yeah. Love that.
It's very interesting.
It is. Shoot.
But
All
don't
right.
fall for the tricks, though. They're going to try to urgency, like this is the only car today.
Yeah.
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 No. Yeah, I would not.
That's the only color in the whole world that you could get
Right.
that trim.
BS.
Nah, it's BS. Yeah.
I guess maybe one of our final questions is, if you could tell one thing to somebody young today, what would you tell them?
What would I tell them? The one
Great
thing.
question.
Well, I would tell them that to identify their goals and what they would like to do and pursue it and pursue it with some vigor. And no matter what that is, don't let people put you down. Okay, don't let people tell you that you can't do it. The first thing you got to do, though, is be honest with yourself. You got to see if you have the aptitude to do it. Like if you're going into engineering and you don't have the aptitude to do it, then don't do it because you're going to be miserable.
Mhm.
Find out what you have the ability to do and then pursue it. And just know that keep working hard at it, because I want to tell you something. If you, let's just say, you don't want to do something, it's going to take years to do. Those years are going to go by anyway. And what are you going to do with your life? If that's what's going to make you happy, pursue it.
Love that.
100,000%.
Yeah.
Right.
If it doesn't
Pursue
make
that.
you happy, why are you doing it?
Why are you doing it?
Yeah, you're going to be miserable. And I've seen people that just got jobs or fields just for the money. They're miserable. Investment banking, some of my friends are in that. They're the most miserable people. No offense to investment
You're
bankers.
giving me
But there are a
chills
lot of stress.
right now.
They got a lot of stress. They're just not happy. They're always miserable.
Look, you give me chills right now only because I know I've touched upon this in the first episode. I always said I wanted to be an investment banker, and I never pursued it because I felt like I wouldn't like it. Even
wouldn't
though
be
I
for
never
you.
did it.
Yeah.
But I always had that second thought, like what? And then, but this is the second time now in a span of maybe 8 months that I've heard a story about that, and it's funny you brought up investment banking. I get chills like that. Yeah,
It's a
interesting.
tough job.
Yeah,
And a lot of people just don't like it.
yeah.
I think that also ties back into feeling the energy. Like I know for me, when I haven't had a job that I didn't like, I could feel myself hating it. I could feel that I'm not energized. from
Dreaded
it.
getting up in the morning.
Dreading getting up, or
Yeah.
even when I'm at work at a certain job I don't like,
Yeah.
you just feel that low energy and that
Now-
low vibe.
Yep.
Now that doesn't mean like when you're pursuing something you like, you're gonna feel those lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to keep coming back at it and you're gonna meet a lot of people. Some of them we could call assholes that are gonna discourage. They're gonna tell you you're not good enough to do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Don't listen to
For
it.
sure. Okay.
I had many people tell me that. You know?
Yeah. Over the years.
Yeah, and it was funny. I was at a conference one time, and I was with a friend of mine, and this guy was instrumental in my life. He's in his 80s now, but he just gave me a lot of, encouragement, and probably I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for him. Maybe just became a friend. And how I met him was he was working in the boys' club, and I was teaching martial arts at that time, and then I told him what I really wanted to do, and he laid out a plan. This is how you could do it, because he was in the field, right? He was a social worker. And he was just very instrumental.
Shit.
And then, I would tell him, like, hey, this guy, like, kind of told me I can't. He goes, don't listen to that asshole. Don't do that. And then funny thing was one time we were in a conference, and I said to him, I said, oh, shit. He goes, what? He was kind of a gruff guy, blue collar at heart, and I go, hey, that's the guy. He goes, what guy? I said, since the guy told me I would never get my doctorate over there, you know what I mean? He goes, who? I go, him. He goes, that bastard over there. He goes right up to him. He goes, hey asshole, being like, he goes, remember him? You told him he wouldn't amount to anything.
Yeah.
Guess what? He's gonna be your boss.
I love it. I love
I'm
it.
so embarrassed. No, don't listen. He looks at me. This.
That's fucking hilarious.
Did you use that as fuel though? Like people telling you couldn't do something, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
You know what? Again, that's a good question because when this guy said that to me, I looked at him and I could tell, I could feel him. He was just a very insecure, angry man.
Yeah.
And I'm saying he's here and to put people down. So, and to discourage them. So one thing I had to do is basically, it's manipulation in a sense. You got to let him know who's boss. And guess what? I wanted him to know that he was the boss and that maybe he was right, but to give me a chance.
Okay.
And that's what I did.
Nice.
So sometimes you have to humble yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's when you listen to a lot of successful business people or mobsters, and they've done very well, and they'll always say, "Listen, I had to sit down with this guy, and I wanted to. My goal. Always pick your goals. What is your goal for this meeting? Set that goal, and no matter what you have to do, short of hurting somebody, don't do that. But that's your goal. So if you want to let this guy think like, I buy you out, you don't buy me, say, okay, well, how much is it? You could buy me out.
Yeah.
But your goal is to get out of it and get some money. That's your goal, right?
Yeah.
Or set something else, and that's what you have to do. And sometimes you have to humble yourself because these people do have power over you. They can make your life miserable.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. They can make your life miserable.
Yeah.
And let's not go into relationship issues.
Right.
Facing young men today, so there's a lot of
There's a lot. Actually,
and young women.
I think what we should do, because we're approaching the market, I think we should do a follow-up episode on the relationship because we did speak about that last week.
That'd be cool to get into.
I would, yeah.
The mindset behind
the
that.
Mindset. I think that what would be good is I could tell you just how relationships kind of changed over time. What the dating world was like pre-computers or during my time, and what the roles were of men, women, or whatever dating you were doing, and how it relates to you now, and how things have changed and some of the challenges. It's challenging now.
It is challenging
because it's kind of more complicated.
Yeah.
So my daughter's a social worker, but she's also a relationship coach.
Okay.
She exclusively works with women.
Yeah.
So she's good at it, but when I listen to some of the stuff, to me, it's almost cerebral, and it's how do I put it? Sometimes with love, you just got to let go and take a chance.
I like that.
And feel how you're going to go through it, rather than does he or she meet check number one, check number two, and you go down. Because again, it gets too complicated. What are you going to do if they have a bad day and they check
They don't
that
check
off?
the box.
Yeah, what happens?
It's almost like semantic learning versus actually doing. When you actually do, it's better.
And you can't look for perfection because you're not going to find it.
Yeah, no, never. No one's perfect.
So maybe part 2 will be psychology of relationships.
I'm down. Are you down, Gus?
I'm down, man.
Let's do it.
I'm
Gus is
down.
down.
I'm excited. Man. I'm down.
Fuck, this is a great episode.
You know what?
My mind was blown.
This is almost 2 hours, and I've been on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Yeah,
I'll tell
exactly.
you what, once you get going with guys like you, you're very interesting guys. I love what you're doing.
Appreciate that.
I mean, 6
Thank
hours
you.
could go by. You
Yeah.
wouldn't even feel it.
I think that's so true.
I would get 5 more 6-packs if it meant I had
You
6
know-
hours worth of data to do.
You know, it's always so funny. Like, most people, like, there's not many people that make me shut up.
Yeah.
And I noticed myself really being engaged and thinking so many questions, and I just really appreciate you bringing all this insight
Absolutely.
on the show.
I mean, there's so much more. But yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
No, heck yeah. No, really, thank you, Gus, for coming. This was a great episode. I surely enjoyed it, Don. You seemed like you enjoyed it.
This was a good time.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say if you made it this far, especially, you guys definitely enjoyed it, and there was a lot of content. Gus, where can people find you if
my office is located in Clifton. They can look me up on the internet. I'm with a company called the Human Growth Center of New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could give you the number there. It's 973-473-0800. If you ever need any of my services, you could call. But hopefully you don't. Hopefully you're all right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hopefully you don't.
Damn.
Guys, you can find us on YouTube now at We'll Take It From Here podcast. We are working on, I got 6 shows uploaded. It's a bit of a process. If you have done it before, you know what I'm talking about. But working on getting those shows up to where they'll be on there the next day as soon as the show posts. So we're working on that. So subscribe, like, comment, You can follow me at Don Shoemaker Jr. Joe is
Joe Francesco 48.
And we're also on Instagram at We'll Take It From Here podcast.
Yeah, let us know what you think about this, guys. Like, chime in. You know, there's a lot of stuff. There is a lot of content today. This is a great episode.
Yeah, and what is that called? Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
No,
Are you on Instagram?
He's on TikTok.
No, I'm not on Tic-tac-toe. What the hell? I'm called That Boomer Therapist.
That Boomer Therapist is such a great name.
On Instagram?
Fucking love it.
Yeah, that's the one with the pictures, right?
Yeah. All right, That Boomer Therapist.
That Boomer
Give him
Therapist.
a follow. Screw us. Give That Boomer Therapist
That Boomer
a follow.
Therapist. Yeah, I'm not saying how these guys could contact. I'm giving my numbers away like I'm from 1958.
I wonder how many calls. I wonder how many DMs, direct messages you're gonna get about people. Hey, I'm trying to buy like a Honda. I'm trying to buy a Toyota. You want to call?
Hey, you want to pay me?
Yeah, exactly. That's the entrepreneurial mindset. Love it.
I'll help you buy a Honda. I love cars.
All right,
If you want to pay me for my time, I'll do
That's
it.
too good.
Fucking love it.
Yeah.
No, but all kidding aside, this was amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
This was great.
I'm very welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Guys, we will see you next week. Well, we won't see you, but you'll listen to us next
You'll
week.
listen to us and you'll see us.
Have a good one.
Have a great night, guys.
Good night.